So, would it be fair to blame Britain for everything happening in Palestine right now? Well, in the simplest terms, yes, but in more nuanced terms, well, also yes. Between 1517 and 1917, Palestine existed as a semi autonomous state within the Ottoman Empire, and it was one of the most multicultural regions in the world. Under the Ottomans' millet laws system, religions coexisted in peace for 500 years. That all ended in the late 19th century when the corruption overreach of the Ottoman Empire saw it begin to crumble, kind of like what's happening to the United States now. This saw the rise of Arab nationalism and the Palestinian sovereignty movement. By the end of the First World War, everyone knew the Ottomans were done, and Britain and France circled the dying empire like vultures, ready to snap up all the easy colonies. But Arab nationalism posed a threat to those colonial dreams. So Britain went and made friends with the new and emerging Zionist movement and started sponsoring Zionist settlers to go to Palestine and start stealing land. The Zionists, unlike the Jews that had been living peacefully in Palestine for 500 years, were not interested in peaceful coexistence. They were here to conquer, colonize, and steal, which is against international law. Under the Balfour Declaration, Britain created Mandatory Palestine, and under brutal military oppression, opened the floodgates to Zionist settlers and turned a blind eye to the massive surgence in settler violence. This was against international law. So this by now is the 1920s, and you may notice that it is actually before 7th of October 2023. So congratulations, you're officially smarter than all Western media. Anyway, this colonial violence will go on all the way until 1947, when Britain and the United States decide to make it all official. They start arming the Zionist militias with tanks, planes, machine guns, and mortars, and then they unleash them on every Palestinian town and city. This is known as the infamous Nakba, and it is the spawning of Israel. Between this and the Arab-Israeli War, Israel takes 78% of Palestinian land, 750,000 Palestinians are expelled, 500 plus villages are destroyed, and Israel bars refugees from returning, which is against international law. And Palestinians and Israel now live under military rule, which is also against international law. Israeli occupation would continue to expand for the next 40 years, which again is against international law. In 1987, the first Intifada happens, a popular uprising which is met with brutal Israeli repression, including the absolutely grotesque break their bones policy. That's an actual policy you can go look up. By the way, it's against international law. In 2000, the second Intifada is launched, and in response, Israel builds walls around Gaza and the West Bank, creating concentration camps, which are against international law. In 2006, with the world continuing to abandon Palestinians and ignoring international law, Palestinians turn to Hamas, because Hamas is offering something no one else will, which is violent resistance against the occupation, which is literally more than anyone else in the world has ever offered them. And fuck it, right? If Israel's going to kill them all anyway, you might as well go down fighting. So that's why Hamas has so much support. Israel responds to the formation of Hamas in their usual cool, calm, and collected manner by launching military assaults into the densely populated concentration camps, murdering and kidnapping civilians in 2008, 2009, 2012, 2014, 2021, 2022, and 2023, with every single instance being a violation of international law. During all of this, settlers are still stealing Palestinian land and setting up the apartheid state into their own law, an actual law. It's called the nation-state law in 2018, which is against international law. Then on 7 October 2023, Hamas strikes back and the Western world is outraged at this shocking act of completely unprovoked violence. Yeah. And now, we are permanently stuck on Hamas, even as Israel doesn't miss a beat and proceeds to bomb, shoot, and starve millions of people to death, which, I shouldn't have to mention this, is against international law. So yeah, when we review the whole history, I feel we can, like most of the horrors in the modern world, blame it all squarely on Britain. The arseholes. Anyway, if you want to hear the long version of this story, check out the latest Triplo podcast episode. Also check out the pinned post on my Patreon, which has a list of verified families in Palestine that really could use your help. Anyway, something to think about.